2025 was an interesting year for many, plagued by the whispers of the unknown and the echoes of the lost. Dark secrets linger at the edge, awaiting exposure, while some skeletons remain curled up in the closets, raising questions that may never be solved. Number 10. He told his family that he was on his way home from work, but it's been 3 months now and he still hasn't walked through the door. Joel Dino Valdez, a Marine veteran, was working as a journeyman lineman for a company known as American Power. This job, located 6 hours away from his home in Coyote, New Mexico, allowed him to support his wife and 3 young children. Joel regularly made the lengthy drive from Silver City to Coyote, always making it home. The 18th of September 2025, though, was different. Something strange was afoot that day, and whatever it was, mystery would follow. At 2:30 p.m., the 36-year-old messaged his wife, as he did whenever he left his workplace. He informed her he was leaving Silver City and on his way home. Hours would pass with no further updates from Joel, and by the following day, when he still hadn't arrived, the family grew understandably concerned. Before reporting him missing, Joel's wife and the rest of his family would make several attempts to contact him. These attempts failed each time. Through some independent sleuthing, it was discovered that the now missing man's credit card was used in the Santa Fe area around 5:40 p.m. on the day he was last heard from. Bank statements revealed a charge for gas at the Allsops, located on Cerrillos Road. There was an additional charge on the account as well, a cash withdrawal from a nearby Wells Fargo ATM. According to the family, these 2 transactions weren't particularly out of the ordinary, but the lack of communication undoubtedly was. Another day would pass with additional charges to the card, now raising some alarms. This time, it was a large gas purchase that was enough to fill up several vehicles, not just Joel's 2015 Chevrolet Silverado 2500. It was after these charges that the missing man's wife had the card canceled. On the 21st of September, she would resign herself to the idea that her husband wasn't coming home and make that gut-wrenching trip to the local police station to report Joel Valdez missing. Just one day after the disappearance became public, a witness reported a hope-inducing sight. They claimed to have seen the Silverado in Albuquerque, though it isn't clarified if they'd seen the vehicle on that day or in the days before. Joel's truck currently remains unaccounted for. The circumstances surrounding this event have been regarded as suspicious, with the idea that someone who isn't Joel is making use of his credit card, which they still haven't stopped trying to do, even after it was canceled. The New Mexico State Police have been investigating the disappearance, as well as the 6 unauthorized and attempted uses of the man's card. Information regarding the whereabouts of this missing person can be directed to the New Mexico State Police at 505-841-9256. Number 9. Something strange has entered the immediate atmosphere of our home, planet Earth. Perhaps it's a comet, or maybe an old star. Maybe it's an alien battleship trying to make contact, according to one controversial scientist. With no plausible answer being offered just yet, all that we know is that 3I Atlas is far from ordinary. It was on the 1st of July, 2025, when the NASA-funded telescope known as Atlas spotted the strange interstellar object, the 3rd confirmed sighting in history. Since its discovery, 3I Atlas has been observed multiple times, including through the James Webb Space Telescope, which captured it with its near-infrared spectrograph. The Psyche spacecraft tracked the supposed comet too, making 4 observations over an 8-hour period. The Punch mission captured images of the celestial object as well, and was able to produce discernible images of an unusually short tail for a comet. The tail isn't the only unusual thing about this object, though. Several anomalies have presented themselves over the last few months, leaving scientists stumped. It was observed that Atlas's 2026 trajectory will bring it incredibly close to Jupiter's Hill, which is at 53.5 million kilometers, a large gravitational boundary of the planet's gravity, dominating the sun's gravitational force. This bizarre alignment is being considered a coincidence, and has also led to speculation that the object may be intentionally navigating to the area for an unknown reason. Atlas has additionally seen some peculiar color shifts observed through sonar images. This celestial entity is also unusually large for an interstellar object, estimated to be billions of tons in mass, making it heavier than One-Eye Oumuamua and Two-Eye Borisov. According to controversial astronomers and believers of extraterrestrials, the observation challenges the expectation that visitors from space may not be as small as we thought. Adding to the peculiarities of Atlas is its extreme negative polarization, which is highly unusual for a comet and hasn't been observed in other solar system objects. And bizarrely, the object also doesn't seem to exhibit the traditional dust tail, leading to debates over its origin and nature, suggesting it's either much rockier than initially thought, or possibly technological, as some believe. The supposed comet, which meets only some of the comet criteria, was found to turn brighter than ever seen before, and it's bluer than the sun. It allegedly boasts sunward and anti-solar jets, suggesting a massive surface area. Scientists have also noticed a surprisingly stable trajectory, challenging the idea that it's a natural comet. Controversial astronomers such as Avi Loeb argued that the peculiarities of Three-Eye Atlas may be due to its unnatural composition and alien technology. He warns that humanity should be prepared for an unexpected and possibly unwanted visit. Other scientists argued that the green glow, high concentration of nickel and CO2, and odd behavior can all be explained by simple, unknown natural processes. What experts haven't been able to tell us is why the comet is carrying the key ingredient for life, including methanol, hydrogen cyanide, carbon dioxide, nickel vapor, and water ice. For the time being, the claims of biological signatures and alien technology remain mere speculation, and we still don't truly know what Three-Eye Atlas is, where it came from, or why. Number 8. A solo trip, an abandoned car, a 922, and 650 acres worth of national park. These are the disquieting elements that dominate the peculiar case of Missouri resident Angel Buglia. Angel was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, and moved to Chicago after graduating from Lawrence University in Wisconsin. She didn't stick around Chicago for long, and in October of 2025, she moved back to St. Louis. Here, she would secure a job at River City Casino, which she was due to start in November. Unfortunately, Angel would never have the opportunity to begin her new job because she inexplicably vanished that very month. It was the 6th of November when the 26-year-old hopped on a plane bound for Port Angeles, Washington. Before starting her job at the casino, she wished to visit the Olympic National Park. This solo, impromptu trip would be her very first visit to the 922, 650-acre nature reserve. Initially, Angel planned to only stay there for a few days, suggesting she'd return home on the 10th of November. Unexpectedly, though, she opted to extend her stay for an unspecified amount of time. 11 days after leaving the comforts of St. Louis, Angel would last be seen shopping in Port Angeles, where she'd be spotted alone on surveillance footage. She can be seen in the video allegedly purchasing $800 worth of camping gear at Walmart, indicating that the stay in the Olympic National Park was far longer than anyone would have anticipated. One day after this purchase, she would send her mother a picture of herself, smiling, and let her know that she was okay. This would be the last time that anyone would hear from Angel. Thanksgiving Day came and went, with the young woman failing to reach out to her family. Immediately, they knew something was wrong. A few days would go by with Angel's mother trying her best not to panic. Eventually, on the 27th of November, she was forced to make that disheartening phone call to the Port Angeles Police Department. It would be the subsequent investigation that yielded the last seen surveillance footage that indicated Angel would be staying in the park for longer. It was also determined that her phone was last used on the 18th, and no activity on her social media was reported thereafter. At the time, the missing woman was renting a vehicle, a 2025 Ford Bronco Sport. the car wouldn't be found until the end of the month, abandoned at the Solduk trailhead in the park. A thorough search of the vehicle was carried out, during which several unsettling discoveries were made. Investigators found the camping equipment the young woman had purchased, indicating she never had the chance to unpack. There were also 3 Subway sandwiches uneaten, which were purchased from a Washington Walmart. Then there came a most out-of-place find. It was an Olympic Park maintenance worker's checklist and pool equipment left in the trunk of Angel's rental car. Her mother would be informed that the maintenance worker to whom the items belonged had been questioned, but the police failed to divulge what information came about in that interview. The unnamed worker has not been named a suspect, and Angel remains eerily missing without a trace. Any information regarding the whereabouts of Angel Bulia can be directed to the Olympic National Park tip line at 888-653-0009. Number 7. ASCAP, the Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder. The ASCAP, or Australian Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder, radio images captured a strange ultra-faint bubble that can only be seen at radio wavelengths. The bubble, a near-perfect circle, has no obvious X-ray or optical counterpart. These unusual features provided the best-suited name for the anomaly, teleos, a Greek word for perfect and complete. Teleos was discovered accidentally when astrophysicist Miroslav Flipovic was exploring images from the powerful radio telescope. It was this bizarre image that immediately stood out, warranting further study and captivating the world of astronomy. Initially, researchers and scientists suggested that the shape was the mere remnants of a supernova, but the symmetry is still bizarre and completely out of the ordinary for this class. Generally, the expanding shells of gas that are left over from the explosion of a star are irregular and indiscernible shapes. The distortions are a result of the shock waves and subsequent interactions with nearby cosmic material, which are very rarely uniform. Teleos quite obviously defied this rule, exhibiting an almost flawless, unnatural design. The spherical symmetry is rare and possibly non-existent among known remnants of supernovas, leading to speculations surrounding the exact origin and nature of the explosion. Adding to the inexplicable shape, scientists are also still struggling to determine the object's distance, true size, and age. Experts have only been able to offer estimations, suppositions, and theories. Depending on which you choose, Teleos is either young and nearby or old and large. If it's the former, the lack of an optical counterpart would add layer to the mystery that the latter would solve. But if it's the latter, we must wonder why it was never observed before. Truthfully, we don't really know what Teleos is, and the explanations surrounding its existence are mere hypotheses. Again, despite our advanced knowledge and technological advancements, we're left in the dark, not knowing what secrets lurk nearby, or whether they pose a threat to the world. Number 6. On the 27th of August, 2025, a city council meeting was held in Tulsa. The primary focus of this meeting referred to budget transfers for community development block grants, as well as the homelessness ordinance, in which the council would debate over the homelessness encampment cleanups and whether or not it would be causing more harm. At 5 p.m., those involved in such considerations gathered at 2nd Street in Tulsa on the 2nd floor in the council chamber, and the discussions soon began. These meetings always carry an air of authority and sophistication, a flow that would be unexpectedly interrupted not long after it began. The interruption came in the form of an unnerving boom. The assembly was being recorded, and the cameras captured the very moment that the earthquake-like boom rattled the entire building, stopping the speaker mid-sentence. Officials exchanged confused and concerned looks with one another. Wide-eyed, they scanned the room, wondering where the window-shaking blast had come from. Mysteriously, minutes later, a second boom rang out in the building, and it shook just as violently as the first. City Councilor Anthony Archie recalled the bizarre event, explaining how the disembodied boom had shaken the building and struck fear into those within it. Following the second incident, officials and authorities exited the building in haste, hoping to find where the distressing booms were coming from. Eerily, there were no signs of anything outside the building that could be responsible for it. Some likened the event to an earthquake, but there was no seismic activity recorded in the area at the time that it took place. It also seems there was no meteorological explanation for the monstrous roar that left the counselors rattled. So if it wasn't an earthquake or any other weather phenomenon, what was it? This is the question that remains unanswered some months later, despite a thorough investigation. The lack of answers is causing understandable tension within the community, who wonder which of the sinister theories may be the right one. Number 5. Human DNA is known to contain the remnants of extinct human species. For decades, we've been led to believe that we're the descendants of one early human, but our missing lineage is much more complicated than that, according to recent discoveries. We're not merely the evolved offspring of Homo erectus, nor are we merely the confluence of a Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA. There's more to the story that we're only discovering in recent years in our quest for understanding and knowledge. It was as early as 2020 when the word ghost lineages breathed out a new mystery. It was found that the West African genomes contained a mysterious DNA strand from an unknown archaic population that has still gone unidentified. The interbreeding likely occurred sometime around the same time as the Neanderthal interbreeding was taking place elsewhere in the world. It was found that 4 West African populations, the Asan, Mende, Yoruba, and Gambian, all carried DNA from a mysterious, unknown archaic hominin, a human relative believed to have split from our lineage prior to Neanderthals. This discovery added a whole new layer to human ancestry that goes way beyond Denisovans and Neanderthals. Throwing another few unattachable pieces into the puzzle, in May 2025, researchers in China's Yunnan province made a similar discovery. After coming across what they believed was a 7,100-year-old skeleton, scientists would discover markers of yet another previously unknown human branch. This new species has been dubbed the Basal Asian Xinyi, posing a challenge to the initial notions regarding the origins of the Tibetan and Austroasiatic populations. This newly named ghost species is believed to have diverged from other human species around 40,000 years ago. Combined with the 2020 study, the discoveries this year from the investigation and analysis of more than 100 skeletal remains in China have produced a flurry of papers. These studies suggest that Neanderthals, Denisovans, and a third unknown group of extinct humans interbred at least once with even older populations of unknown and extinct hominids, which possess ghost lineages we know nothing about. Number 4. Nicole Laguerre, the wife of Leonard J. Mercury, explained that her husband, a lead drafter technician, is a man who's well known in the community. He's someone that everyone likes. His fun and adventurous personality is contrasted by his laid-back, go-with-the-flow persona. It's all of these traits that make Leonard so noticeable, and what makes his absence all the more obvious. According to Nicole, her husband had been diagnosed with a mental health condition, which saw a flare-up during a gathering on the 25th of November this year. In the days following the gathering, Leonard became increasingly agitated, and ultimately the decision was made to get him emergency medical care. On the 29th of October, the 57-year-old would be admitted to Haywood Hospital in Gardner, where he would undergo medical treatment to get him back on track. 2 days after he was admitted to the hospital, at 3 a.m. on the 31st of October, police officers would unexpectedly show up at Nicole's door. They came bearing urgent news. Leonard had escaped and was now missing. Allegedly, Leonard had broken a window in his room, climbed out, ran to the roof of the hospital, jumped off, and ran away. Nicole has blamed the hospital for the ordeal and demands answers as to how her husband was able to make a getaway with a guard supposedly watching over him. She spoke with a nurse and a psychiatrist over the phone, who told her that there was a guard present upon Leonard's escape, because Leonard had been admitted under an emergency. The explanation failed to explain how the event came to pass or why no one tried to chase after him. In the wake of the sudden and unexpected disappearance, an intensive investigation would be carried out by the Gardner Police Department. Given that the missing man is an at-risk individual, the police ensured that they'd make every possible effort to find him. Massive ground searches scoured the streets, nearby forests, and buildings. Canine units were brought in to track him down, and sonar systems swept through the town. These efforts, though, would prove futile, and eventually they began to taper off. Nicole has since taken the search into her own hands and started a GoFundMe, the proceeds of which would go toward a private investigator. It took only a day for her to raise the money she needed, and Dana Prestone of Rockwell Investigations came into the picture. Prestone found that Leonard had dashed into the nearby wooded area and headed to the section where the tracking dog trail had ended. It would be in this very area, somehow overlooked by countless officers, that Preston would find a pair of hospital socks. The hospital socks may be those of Leonard, who departed the establishment still wearing hospital attire. Preston subsequently met with investigators, who, upon discovering the socks, suggested that the missing man may either be in a lake or have been picked up by someone somehow. Nicole hasn't stopped searching for her husband and believes that someone out there knows something. She's been handing out flyers in cities and towns across the state, as well as posting regular updates on the Find Leonard Mercury Facebook page. Preston is still involved in the case and conducted his own physical searches. Information can be directed to the Gardner Police Department at 978-632-6500. Number 3. The indisputable proof may finally be here. The evidence needed to confirm that Mars once could sustain life, or could potentially be a habitable planet in the near future. NASA's Perseverance Mars rover has been traveling across the surface of the rocky red planet collecting vital information. On the 18th of July last year, while investigating the Bright Angel Formation of Jezero Crater, the camera captured ringed features dubbed Leonard spots and small nodules called poppy seeds within a mudstone known as Chayava Falls. Running the length of Chayava Falls are major white calcium sulfate veins. Between these veins is a reddish material, which suggests the presence of hematite, one of the minerals that contributes to the rusty hue of Mars. The dark leopard spots appear to result from a chemical reaction involving hematite, which turns the rock from red to white. Such reactions may also release phosphate and iron, resulting in those prominent black halos. These very reactions, scientists suggest, may be an energy source for microbes. Dominating the space alongside the leopard spots are another two minerals, vivianite and greigite. Vivianite turns black after light exposure and oxidation of ferrous iron to ferric iron. This mineral is found in areas of decaying matter. Greigite is an iron sulfide mineral that can be found in some magnetotactic bacteria. It forms a crucial aspect of the ancient environment due to its sensitivity to sulfur conditions. The presence of these two minerals makes the idea of microbial life being able to sustain itself on Mars slightly more likely, and may even suggest that the barren planet was once vibrant with lush greenery. Pixel and Sherlock instruments have mapped these textures as well as the chemistries present within the mudstones, having collected samples from the sites of Chayava Falls. One such sample, Sapphire Canyon, has since been named and is now considered the most tantalizing candidate for past life on Mars. That being said, every plausible clue always has an escape route. The mystery of whether or not life can be sustained on Mars deepens with the presence of hydrothermal reactions. Scientists found that such reactions, redox gradients, and geochemical pathways can all mimic biosignatures. The question is, are the leopard spots a marker for a life-sustaining Mars, or a mere look-alike? Number 2. It was the 21st of January, 2025, and the silence was deafening in Chile's Patagonia region. A trail camera's tiny red dot was the only light battling against the early morning darkness. The camera trap had been set up for a project that monitored wildlife. The cam, though, would capture more than just pumas and poodoo deer. It would capture something strange and inexplicable, something that would leave everyone stumped. The camera is at the edge of a meadow, as far away from any public road in any settlement as possible. It focused on a flat horizon, void of streetlights and passing cars. Despite the lack of any possible light source, at 12:22 a.m., two such sources mysteriously appear, originating from an unknown source. In just 2 seconds, 3 photographs were captured, revealing the moment that 2 disembodied lights appeared on camera. A short video was also captured at this time and was slowed down to show their movement, and the lights appear out of nowhere, descending from above the line of sight. First, a larger orb is seen, followed shortly by a smaller object. Both lights appear to emit a streak of light, likely due to lens flare from the camera. The objects remain in front of the camera, dazzling it before vanishing and leaving no explanation behind. This particular camera isn't the only one in use either. Another 64 cams dominate Patagonia and Tierra del Fuego in Chile as part of the project. Yet, despite the significant amount of recording devices, only one of them captured this bizarre phenomenon, and it's left experts wondering what may have caused it. The unusual explanations or inexplicable enigmas have been offered. They range from insects flying too close to the lens to arachnids climbing over the camera. It's also been suggested that the lights were plasmoids, a short-lived form of plasma that isn't well documented and is rarely seen in nature. The existence of plasmoids is often mentioned alongside that of ball lightning. Despite the numerous theories, though, specialists have agreed that the source of the peculiar lights has no conclusive explanation for now and remains a mystery for the time being. Number 1. It was the 26th of July, 2025, when the Devil's Den State Park would become the unexpected location of a bizarre event that has left questions unanswered. That day, police would arrive at the scene where 2 young girls had been left alone, and their parents were lying side by side only meters away, red-stained and not breathing. It was that day that 41-year-old mother, Kristen Brigg, her 43-year-old husband, Clinton, and their 2 daughters headed out for a family hike at the park, but not all of them would return home. The family was heading down a walking trail when suddenly an unseen figure launched from his hiding spot and threw himself at Clinton, making use of a sharpened blade. Kristen gathered her daughters and ran them down the trail toward their car. Once they were in the safe zone, she turned back and ran to help her husband. By the time she arrived, it was already too late. He was in the process of taking his last breath. Now, Kristen had seen the assailant's face, making her a witness who couldn't be kept alive. After speaking with several other hikers in the area that day, investigators began piecing together a potential profile of their suspect. He was a Caucasian man wearing dark pants, a ball cap, sunglasses, and fingerless gloves. He allegedly carried a black backpack with him and wore a dark tan top beneath a long-sleeved shirt with its sleeves rolled up. Witnesses reported seeing him driving toward the exit in a 4-door sedan with a covered license plate. It's believed that the car was a Mazda, which was seen heading along State Highway 170 or 220 near the park in a wooded area. A sketch of the suspect would later be released, and a 5-day-long manhunt would ensue. On the 30th of July, police apprehended an individual who they believe was behind the crime. Placed in cuffs and escorted to a jail cell was 28-year-old Andrew James McGann, who recently relocated to Arkansas, where he'd be starting a new job as a teacher at Springdale Public Schools. But he hadn't come into contact with the families or students as of yet. McGann has no criminal history, mental illness, or motive. Yet upon his arrest, he allegedly admitted to carrying out the crime, claiming to have attacked Clinton first as Kristen rushed their children to safety. The day after he was arrested, McGann would be charged with 2 counts of capital homicide. But during the trial, he would plead not guilty, bringing into question the reason behind his initial admittance. DNA evidence at the crime scene, though, matched his. The vital fluid that was used to connect McGann to the crime scene came from an injury he'd sustained during his attack on the victims, who desperately tried to fend him off. Though they had their suspect, the mystery was far from over. What investigators have been unable to figure out is why McGann, with no motive, no connection to the victims, and no criminal history, would carry out such a brazen and intense attack. Police could find no warning signs that he was planning on carrying out this crime, ruling out the idea of premeditation. He also put no effort into concealing his identity and was spotted by several witnesses who could identify him, as well as surveillance cameras. During the arraignment, McGann hardly spoke, and he showed very little emotion during its entirety. Despite a thorough investigation, the police still haven't come up with a reason for this heinous act, and the suspect hasn't aided much in the quest for answers either. A lengthy legal process is currently underway. McGann remains in custody and is expected to appear in court in January 2026, an appearance that will hopefully provide answers and closure to this unnerving event. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.